Hi guys, welcome to another video. It's Ndagire here. Thanks for coming. As always, for the subscribers and everyone that watches the videos, thank you so much for your time. Always appreciate it. Today's video is something that I landed on and I wanted to share it with you guys because every time I see videos of white people calling out their own governments, their own people, I feel like it's very important for us to share them so that we can see that there's also other people in their community that are seeing the craziness that their people are doing to other groups of people, especially us Africans or Black people as a whole, and they come out to say something about it. So this person is literally exposing what the IMF is doing, especially to African countries, and what they've been doing in the African continent. But yeah, guys, watch this clip, come back, and let's talk about it.
So many African leaders who have tried to resist the IMF and World Bank and Western imposed framework have found themselves assassinated or couped because they recognize very quickly that when the IMF and World Bank comes in and imposes all these neoliberal restrictions on you and says, look, we've saddled you with debt, or we've given you this supposed capability to build some kind of manufacturing base for yourself. When those African leaders start to shift and say, look, we're going to start manufacturing something that's actually beneficial for our populace, that like returns us some, just gives us a return on our investment rather than allows the West to extract the product of the labor or resources itself, they get couped. They get overthrown or they get literally assassinated. And this has happened so many times. Like France has assassinated something like 60 leaders in Africa. And that's because they are still owed all this money and they want that money. They want these debts repaid, like these colonial debts. It's like, that's why we say colonialism never ended, because once all these African nations were freed from the yoke of French imperialism, they were saddled with debt as sort of like a revenge. Like just legally, they were allowed to do this because it doesn't make the headlines that the overthrow of colonialism does. So people don't notice that and they just think that colonialism ended. And that's very convenient, but that is the situation that we find ourselves in. And again, in typical fashion. And so in the same vein, when people say that like China is doing debt trap diplomacy, where they're like invading African nations and then saddling them with debt, that is actually what the US and the West has always done. And it actually doesn't even make sense to say that China could, because they don't have the military capability. They don't have the ability to wield the stick if these African countries don't take the carrot of whatever debt they're being saddled with. So there is no reason for these African nations to make a deal with China unless it is more mutually beneficial than it would be to sign with the US or Europe. So again, it is always just projection that the US and the West does in their mainstream press, and then people just believe it. I feel like a lot of people have turned against an African leader who is doing good right by his people, who is kicking out the French colonialists who control all the uranium in that country and do so for profit. He's literally kicking them out as we speak. And people here in the West are like, oh, he's going to be like an authoritarian dictator. It's like, based on what? Just because of the color of his skin? It's like, just on latent racism. And again, the fear-mongering about Russia or Wagner, people assume that this is going to be like a Idi Amin situation, where it's much more similar to Thomas Sankara.
Yeah. God bless Thomas Sankara. You know, Ibrahim Traore, he big fan of Thomas Sankara. And anybody who, you know, if you're not a communist or whatever, and you think you're very skeptical about the whole communist thing, because your go-to is Joseph Stalin or Mao and sort of the things that happened during that, go take a look at what Thomas Sankara did to his country and how fast they fucking killed him for it, because he was a decent guy. You know, Gaddafi too. Gaddafi was given money to people to get married. He was given, you know, education reforms, land reforms. Lumumba, come on, guys. Well, we should do a whole series on that.
It was in Africa because he was helping out African revolutionaries there. It's like they weren't able to get him in Cuba, and maybe that was just like happenstance that they weren't able to, but like they definitely went after him a lot in Africa, and that's where they killed Che. The point in saying that earlier was that because the right is allowed to have guns and the left is looked at as like scary when they do, like I was talking on my Instagram live video this morning about how every time I've seen a real Marxist group pop up in the last few years, like during Black Lives Matter, there was quite a few where you'd see like militantly armed young black men are organizing in a principled way and saying things even to like the media when they would get interviewed, saying like, look, we are fighting with solidarity for all oppressed people. We're not doing like anti-white racism or anything like that you're accusing us of. We want everybody to stand together and rise up against these oppressive forces that are holding all of us down. And you would hear about them and then they'd be gone in like a month. And that's intentional. Like, these orgs are quickly targeted and they're very adeptly and effectively neutralized by the government. That's like, That's the world we live in, and that's why I'm saying, like, when you live in the country where it is just assumed to be a right-wing thing to have a bunch of guns, that's because you live in a right-wing country where the government tolerates that. Like, that's just to say you live in fascism. There has never been a situation in our lifetimes where the U.S. has actually been the liberators in any kind of military way. That's simply not the case.
I can't think of one either.
As you've seen the video, that is what he had to say, and clearly everything that he said makes sense. We are kept in a box, I would say, and I don't know if we are kept or we actually allowed to be kept in a box, especially when it comes to our leaders. Like, I mean, we see what is happening now in Kenya, where the president of Kenya literally decided to part ways, or actually side with the white governments than his people. That is doing the most at getting more money from the IMF and still want to be controlled by the same people that they or he claimed that he is running away from. Like, it just really doesn't make sense. And I do understand that we need to be supported in some way or the other because the world is intertwined. We are all connected in one way or the other. But it's mostly like African countries, African leaders are using this advantage of getting money from the Western governments and literally doing whatever they want with that money and not even developing their own countries, which is wild. Really, really wild. Like, it's freaking crazy. We all know how much the president of Kenya spent to go and meet Biden in the US and, sit in the chair of the United States President Biden, which was, I always say, very, very funny and cringy. Yeah, very weird. Like, you are already a president in an African country. Why go and sit in a chair of another president? Like, to show what was the reason of doing that? What, to give you pride? I hope he got pride, but he's clearly facing the wrath of whatever they planned to bring to Kenya, because it's not really a good situation right now in Kenya. And I feel bad because it's affecting the people of Kenya. People need to work. Like, things are so disconnected right now. And we have this leader that is still accepting to get money from the Western governments, but still not do things that are better for their people. And it's not just him as the president of Kenya. It's the same in my country. It's the same in other African countries. Like, we are so used to begging. Like, I'll do a video of like literally begging. We as African people in our African continent and our leaders, we are so used to being given, begging and receiving, and not even utilizing what we receive from other people to make our lives better, to make our countries better, which is really frustrating. And I love that I landed on another video from a creator, even from Kenya, where he shared a video of an MP in Kenya, really telling us as a people to take accountability and look into our leaders and what they do. Like, they receive money, but they don't use that money to do better for their countries. They just live in lavish lifestyles, spend the money recklessly, and then come out and cry on how there is no money, how they want to take more loans, still get more loans, and absolutely do nothing with that money. Guys, watch this clip as well.
Madam Speaker, what is wrong with our country? We call it a company with shareholders. Our country is not a company. Our company is Kenya, which is a state. It has 50 million people who all expect and demand certain services from the state. We, the politicians in this house, I heard my colleague speak. I am so happy that we are now telling each other the truth. We are the ones who carry militias. We are the ones who go and carry cattle rustlers. We are the ones who have got companies that are doing business in government departments. We are the ones who are stealing the money. Look at the national government, call it down, bring it down to the National Assembly. We must begin to look at issues like CDF. We must look at the Women Fund. We must look at the structure. Do we need all the people who have been given offices? I've been asking this publicly. Why are governors running county governments as if they are private companies where they're stealing money, buying properties abroad, driving such big vehicles, including ourselves? When did we decide that I must drive a car which is 4.8 cc, that at 3,000 cc is not good enough? when our children don't have medicines, when our women are not giving birth, when we can't feed our children, when we buy fertilizer, we deal on it, we sell some of it, we sell mchanga. We are bringing in maize when we are supposed to be planting maize and giving farmers fertilizers and giving them funds so that we can get production and increase that, so that we create jobs for our people. It is we politicians who go and buy 2 million metric tons of maize. We come and sell. We bring 3 million metric tons of sugarcane. Mumias is dying. Chemelil is dying. Sony Sugar is dying. Those are factories that used to employ people. Who are the biggest dealers of investment companies in Kenya? We, the political class. What happened to Kenya Airways? Look at it now. Smelly, filthy. It was the pride of Africa. Who runs Kenya Power? Why are we not told who are the owners of the independent power suppliers of this country? Why are we not being told who owns our national parks? But you hear money is being stolen by none other than the elites and the political class. These people out here are tired. These people are tired. I was crying this morning today because we are messing up a good thing. We are messing up this country. Who wants to be a refugee? And there's enough for you people to eat, so long as you eat with manners. The revenue we collect is enough to run 8 African countries: Kenya, Rwanda, Burundi, Tanzania. You go to Congo, you go to South Sudan, you go to Somalia, and you go to Ethiopia. That's what our goddamn budget is. Just manage it, don't steal it. A few people are stealing too much. These kids out here, they know everything. They know your houses. They know where your kids go to school. They know which properties of land you have. Why must somebody have 4 million acres of land to his name? What happened to our mentality? Then we pretend and run to churches talking about Christianity, how Jesus... Do you understand what you are dealing with? The people out here don't even believe in God anymore. The people out here are tired of the lies, the religious organizations. And I have to say this, I'm a Catholic. I was so happy I saw the Papal Nuncio talk about the issues of a country. Let us forget that we can run this country as tribes. Let us accept that there is a new sheriff in town. That sheriff is the GNC. They are partyless, they are tribeless, they don't have money, they just have bundles and a phone. And they'll stop this country to move. I would like to plead with the members of this house, when it comes to looking at what role our committees are playing, look at what happens. I want to thank my brothers Sifuna, my brother Chirargei. I want to thank Madam Dulo. These are, many of you may not know, we've never discussed it here. How many times we've been threatened that we are raising issues about county governments losing billions. I mean, who doesn't know how many governors own apartments and houses in Kilimani Road? Each one of them owning an apartment costing 1.5 billion shillings. Why didn't the fool just go and build a hospital where he comes from? How I wish we stole the money and put it at home. Some of them are going to Dubai. People are going to America. You see on social media. I just saw somebody commenting saying that the senators have nothing to do. I want him to tell me how he bought a Bentley and is an MP. Explain to me, how does somebody, I mean, the truth is, I'm born with advantage and privilege. That is the truth. I saw my father driving a big car when I was a small boy. That is not what drives me. What drives me is, how do you get a member of parliament driving a Mercedes that costs 49 million shillings? And we are watching, and that is normal, and it is okay. And it is okay. Shame on us. Then we make sure this money doesn't go to the schools. We make sure that hospitals have no money. We start building hospitals now. We want the poor people to come to those hospitals. Poor people can't come to Nairobi Hospital. They can't come to Aga Khan. They can't. Some of them can't afford Kenyatta. You saw the other day, Kenyatta has a debt of 6.6 billion. The Eldoret Hospital, Eldoret KTRH, has a debt of 3.9 billion. When you ask, they tell you we don't know where the money went. Are we fools? Do we need to buy houses which have got 15 bedrooms and drive 19 cars and put them in your parking lot, and you want 10,000 acres of land? You want a ranch? You fools, you go and buy a ranch in Australia. This is where we are. We keep blaming the police. The policeman cannot do anything. Have we ever gone as a Senate to go and see where the police lives? how he takes his kids to school and his salary is 19,000. And this house has to start thinking about those things. We guys must begin, and we ladies and gentlemen in this house must begin to agree that we can reduce our salaries, that we can drive smaller cars. Let us wake up, Kenyans. We can't play football. Money comes from FIFA, it is eaten. World Rally Championship, money comes from there, it's eaten. You go, you want Kenya Lawn Tennis Association, they only want 50,000 to hold an international tennis tournament. Not even a minister appears there. But when the minister is traveling out of the country, he's got how many people? Private jet, goes to Dubai, books one of those hotels, luxury hotels, and he comes back to Nairobi with the same 9 people he took with a private jet. And you assume that the Gen Zs don't know. These days they track you. They can know which private jet you took, where it went, and how it came back. Many of us are worried because either because of history or because of what has happened, we have got a lot of money now, we are owning so much land. Please allow us to have spatial planning. Your land, we can have an implemented law in this house to protect your even identity. But please don't stop stealing public land. Let us have mercy at our people.
Everything that person said makes sense. Accountability is something that we lack in ourselves, and I'm so open to say that we lack accountability as a people. Every time a video is to attack these people, we are so strong and we support it so much, but when it comes to us taking accountability and really looking into us as a people, that we are sometimes a problem that needs to be fixed. Like look into South Africa, where we have a person like Julius Malema, who is so strong on promoting unity within African people, within Black people, opening borders, having a currency that is ours, like trading within us as Africans. See what happened. People didn't vote for him because we have this hate within us that I just can't explain. Because if we really, really wanted to be free as a people, I would also think people in South Africa would vote for Julius Malema to get the freedom that we really want and see Black people in control of most of the things that we actually own in our continent. But it's not what happened. People went and voted for a white party. People went and voted for a white man. And even the Black man that was kind of put into power as Ramaphosa, President Ramaphosa, he still decided to partner with a white party. That clearly shows that we as a people have a problem that I really don't know what it is, but we need to fix it. And if we don't fix those kind of issues within us and start to trust us, that we are able to do it on our own. Because Africans are the youngest now in the world. We have a very young population of people. Young people are born every single day. And it's something that we should really, really use to grow our continent. We have a lot of brains, guys. There is so many African children, Black children that have really been taken to the Western countries to develop those countries, like through scholarships. A lot of us are very knowledgeable, but we just lack the resources. And when you look into these leaders, when they receive money that they claim they are going to use and better Africa, but they end up just selling us off every single day, we need to call them out as loud as possible, as loud as we can. Because if we take that out and just concentrate on, let's say, blaming the IMF, who know, like, they can just come in and give our leaders money and they just sign our resources, sign our gold, sign our food, sign everything that we have and sell us off. They'll keep on doing it. They will keep on doing it. Everyone wants to get a good deal. So if they're able to just come and get our presidents and make them fly to their countries and make them sign things they don't even understand, because clearly it looks like our leaders sign things they don't really understand. They get hyped, or maybe they get too excited because they are in the faces of these Western people, that they forget they have people they are governing in their countries. It looks crazy. It looks really crazy. So I really love when I come across videos of them people as well calling out their own or speaking about these kind of things, because when they do, it also teaches the young generation of them kids to know that they are not the center of attention. Whatever they've been told has been a lie. They need to know as well and take accountability for the things they have been doing to other nations, to the things they've been creating and messing up in other countries, because it doesn't really make sense for me as an African child to come and speak about how we need justice and equality and all those things, and have a white child who thinks they made everything possible when they have been the ones that have been distracting and really causing the most chaos to every other nation. Like, those are things that they need to learn within themselves and really taking accountability. Yes, I want us to take accountability as Black people, as Africans, but the most accountability also needs to go to these people, because they've really done a lot of damage. And now that the world is changing and everything is unfolding, they need to really get onto the good side of us as the people, because I mean, the future generation that is coming up of Africans is not going to be playing. It's not going to be a joke. They are going to be crazy. And so calling out our leaders is a really big thing that we need to start focusing on more, so that they don't hide in the picture of being a puppet leader. Because the more we label them as puppet leaders, they kind of actually continue to sell us off every single day and still come out to play the victim card, come out to play like they cannot stand up for themselves. And I always tell you guys, I always say it every time, African leaders have power, but their power only comes out when they're talking about homosexuality, sex. That's when their power is so strong. I always say that. But when it comes to like things like this, that we need to work together, we need to have our currency as a continent, we need to have our reserve bank with our resources that we have that actually feed the entire world. Their voices are nowhere to be heard when it comes to us promoting our agriculture, because we have a lot of fertile soil in Africa. They are nowhere to be heard. They're just good at getting on planes, flights whatsoever in luxury, and going to please the Western governments than their own people that they actually lie to vote for them. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. So I really like and I love what the Kenyan member of parliament had to say. Accountability is very important, and really looking at our leaders as the problem that are still and mostly keeping Africa in colonization. That's facts. That's facts. Guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit notification bell. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for the members. Always appreciate your time. It means so much. It means a lot. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye.